Hey, welcome to Talk Tuesday. If you've been here before, welcome back. If it's your first time, Talk Tuesday is our weekly segment where we go over tips to help you enhance your finances. So today we will be discussing different types of insurance. So we'll be talking about medical insurance, life insurance, auto insurance, home insurance. So we'll be going over all four of them and we'll discuss two different types of each. So of course there may be more, but I just picked two of each to discuss so that we can learn about them. So thank you all for tuning in. I see you guys over here on YouTube. You guys are in here ready to go on time. Thank you. Happy Tuesday. I appreciate you all so much. Let me know in the comments how you're doing, where you're tuning in from. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you guys every week showing up, showing up, showing up. All right, so let's get into it. Remember, this month is financial literacy month. So I told you each week we would talk about different things pertaining to just our financing. Last week we went over just the basics of financial literacy, what it was, the different parts, different components. This time we will be discussing insurances. So if you're on my email list, then you know each week what we will be discussing. So you'll know what we're discussing next week, the week after, and going forward. So let's get right into it. So let's start off with auto insurance. Let me know in the comments, do you have auto insurance? You don't have to let me know which kind, but we're going to discuss liability versus full coverage. And full coverage, sometimes you'll hear me refer to it as collision because that's how I remember it. That's how I see it on my policy. So sometimes I'll say that. So the difference is you'll have liability. Liability is more affordable. But if you do have a vehicle, whatever insurance you can afford, make sure you have the insurance. Insurance is necessary, very important for yourself, not only for, you know, your vehicle, but for yourself. But you have to do what you can afford, but just understanding what you have. Some people will just, or sometimes, we need insurance, so we just get it really quick. Be sure to check out your policy, know what you're getting. Don't let someone give you something you're not fully aware of. You don't know what it is, you just know the cost. Sometimes we just think, oh, how much is it? But know exactly what you have going on. So you have liability, you have full coverage, also called collision. So COVID, oh, I read a comment still blaming COVID. Yes, and it goes up every time I get a bill. Yes, auto insurance for me too. And I'll tell you about my auto insurance after that. Hey, thank you for tuning in. So for liability, that insurance is definitely cheaper than collision. So the difference is liability. If you are in an accident and it is your fault, then the insurance company will pay for the other person's car to get fixed, not your car. They won't pay for your car to get fixed. They'll pay for the other person's car to get fixed. And that's why it's liability. So they're covering the stuff that you're technically liable for. For your own car, it was your fault. So then you will be responsible for getting your car fixed. So sometimes you'll see people who, are riding around with their car, it's all banged up. They probably, had an accident, sent it into the insurance company. Maybe they had liability and insurance only covered the other person's car. Or you have some people who get the check and just don't get their car fixed. So it could be either way. So then you have the full coverage or collision, however you want to refer to it. And that one is where the insurance company will pay for your car, the other car, regardless of it's your fault or the other person's fault. Now that one will cost more, but you hear just from hearing the difference of the benefits is why the price is such a difference. So, when you go for insurance, depending on, what your budget is, you can kind of see what you can get, but don't feel like you have to be stuck with liability if you don't have a lot of money available. Kind of tweak your numbers. Maybe you'll just get a higher deductible until you have good driving like history, and then after a while you can go and get it checked again and get your deductible dropped down so that at least you're covered if anything were to happen. They're still blaming COVID. But you know what? For me, let me tell you what happened to me with my auto insurance. So I, from time to time, out, look at my policy, see what's going on, see what they're charging me for, how much it is. So I had seen that they were charging me for a certain amount of miles every year. So that's what they were using to calculate my rate. So I track my miles for business. So also I know how much miles I'm driving a year because of that. So I can see what I'm driving. So I contacted them and let them know, like, okay, so you're charging me for this amount of miles for the year, but I'm only driving this amount of miles for years. So that actually helped me to get my insurance premium decreased. So it was good for that. But then, like Aisha said in the comments, then my bill went went up later. So then it went up because they said everybody's bills are going up. So I guess it was better that it went down, then went up instead of it being where it was at and going up higher. But just take time from time to time to go look at your policy, see what they're charging you for, see if it's things you need, some things you need, some things you don't need. Make adjustments so you can see, how you can decrease that cost if you can. Sometimes you can't, but it doesn't hurt to check and see what you can do. Let's move on to another insurance. So now we'll go into medical insurance. So I have written down here, and remember I said there's different types of insurance. So just because I picked two of each doesn't mean that those are the only ones. So we're going to talk about HMO, PPO. So HMO will be more affordable for you as far as coming out your paycheck. PPO will cost you more. HMO, like when you go to the doctors, your copay might be small, like $5. And then PPO, your copay would be higher. But then the difference is for HMO, when you go somewhere, like you go to the doctors, you can just, you have to get a referral, right? So if you want, or a specialist, should I say, you got to get a referral from your doctor and then you can go somewhere. Whereas if you have PPO, then you can go where you want to, in network, out of network, so it costs you, but you're paying for that. I don't want to say luxury, but you're paying for that, being able to just go where you want to, so say something happens somewhere else and maybe the hospitals in the area aren't in your network. If you have HMO, to me not being an insurance person, so let me be clear. I'm not an insurance person, but it could probably be a, not probably, definitely will be an issue for you because they're not in network. So I've always had PPO, so I don't know what happens to you if you have HMO. So I have some people in the comments. If you know, let us know in the comments so I can say it out loud to our listeners and let them know as far as if you have HMO and you go somewhere that's out of your network, what happens to you. But what you want to do is, again, every year your job should give you a breakdown of the different the different insurances that are available for your company. Be sure to check them. Don't always first look at the price. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do. See the difference. See what's beneficial for you. Like for me, I know I'd rather pay a little bit more and be able to kind of go where I want to when I want to. For me, that works for me. And if you're someone here who goes to the doctors, maybe you go a lot, and maybe you can't afford to, pay a lot to go to the doctors, and maybe I'm not going anywhere. I'm always going to be in this area. I'm always going to go to this doctor's office, so that's okay. So that's what I mean by weighing your option. I wouldn't say one's better than the other, but you have to do what's best for you. So in the comments, it says you pay the out of network price. There is no contract with the provider and insurance. See, I know we have some insurance people in here. So, just be mindful and just read everything before you get into it so you know what to expect so you don't get that bill in the mail and you're like, oh my gosh. So you will build the balance. See? So, but just check it out and know what you're getting yourself into. So let's get into the next insurance. So let's talk about where you live. So for these aren't, as far as, I wouldn't say like one's good, one's bad. We don't want to think about that because that's what I said about everything. But this is just, we're talking about homeowners insurance, whereas if you own your home, or renters insurance if you are renting. So just knowing the difference. Homeowners insurance is for someone who owns their home. So that insurance will cover your entire home, things that are like on your property, as far as maybe like a garage or your driveway, stuff like that. That stuff will be covered on your insurance. If you have renters or if you're renting, most landlords will, require you to get insurance. Some don't. I highly recommend you have insurance wherever you live. Anything can happen. You want to be able to be insured for whatever you have going on. So for renters, that doesn't cover your like the where you're, the structure of where you're staying at, but it will cover your items. So your landlord should be, have the insurance for the whole building as it will be their home. So you just have to be having your renter's insurance to cover, your things inside. I like PPO. That way I can go who I want and I don't need a referral. Yes, me too. Me too. That's why I like PPO. But those are the two as far as the homeowners and renters. But I would highly recommend, if you are renting, get your insurance. It doesn't cost as much as you think. And for to be able, if anything were to happen, to be able to just get your stuff covered, or get stuff replaced, or like, we just had this has been a week we had, or a month, we've had an earthquake. We have eclipse. We had a lot of things going on with the weather and stuff like that. So, anything can happen. The earthquake, it didn't hit us bad here in Pennsylvania, but we felt it. In other places, you've seen that buildings were toppling over, or some businesses in the other states, things were falling off and damaging stuff. So, that type of stuff, if you had renter's insurance, you'll be able to, depending on your policy. Let me take that back. Depending on your policy and what's covered in your policy. That's why we need to read it. You would have a better chance of getting your stuff replaced. Okay, and finally, our last insurance that we will discuss is life insurance. So with life insurance, I'm just talking about two, not saying that there's the only two. So I'm going to talk about term and I'm going to talk about whole. So your term policy will be more affordable than your whole policy or your whole life policy. So with your term policy, that is exactly what it says, term. So that's a policy that will cover you for a period of time. So that could be for, depending on what you agree to, 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, whatever it is. But after that period, even if you don't do anything wrong, even if you've been paying it on time every month, that policy is done. And you don't get any of the money that you put into it. So, unless you kind of know, and we don't want to think that. But in case, if you know, like, okay, I'm going to live this much time, then this policy, I'll be safe. But if not, then you have the whole policy. Now that's going to cost you more money, but with the whole policy, it never ends unless you end it. It also has a cash value. So let's say your policy is for $20,000 and you've been paying it for a while, or you've been paying extra. So then now you've overpaid into it. So now your value is higher than the 20,000. That can happen. And then also you're able to buy into it, or not buy into it, but able to borrow out of it, which is very beneficial. If you listen to the gurus and stuff that's online, they'll tell you all about that. I don't know about all of that, but I do know for a fact you can borrow from it and get your money out of it and, put it back, and then you're paying yourself back. So that is a benefit. So if you don't have life insurance policy, look into it. See what you can get. Don't wait until it's too late, because some of them have restrictions where, you have to have the policy for 2 years or something like that before they will pay you out. So it's good to know exactly what you have going on, what you're getting yourself into. So do it earlier. And the earlier you start, the more affordable your payment will be. So always read the policy. That is correct. So those were my tips for today. I talked about life insurance. I talked about medical insurance. I talked about homeowners insurance, and we talked about auto insurance. I hope these tips were beneficial to you. If you have any of those insurances, check your policies. It's never too late, so you're prepared and you know what to do when it's time to renew, or anything you might want to change, or any adjustments you can do. No, take the time to just read it. That is beneficial to your finances and how much you're paying and stuff like that. So look into it. If you have any questions, as always, put it in the comments. I'll go back and check the comments and reply back. If you have ideas for topics you want me to discuss, also put them in the comments, because I check them out and I will incorporate them into upcoming lives. All you are very welcome for the information. Thank you so much for saying great stuff. Thank you. I appreciate you all for just tuning in. We're live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. on YouTube, Enhancing Your Finances. So I'll see you all next week. So have a good one. Happy budgeting, and use this month, Financial Literacy Month, to just learn more about finances every chance you get. We should be learning all year long, but especially this month. All right. See you guys.